pop quiz. What is this? If you said it's a Sharp AutoVu camera, license plate recognition camera, you are correct. Now, question number 2. What's this? If you said, I don't know, well, that counts you among the majority of people in the world. Because up until now, this project, known internally as Sharp as a Service, has been something of a classified topic. As the name suggests, this is a subscription service to our premier license plate recognition system, the AutoVu Sharp, and its corresponding software, AutoVu. But what makes this different is what is living underneath the Sharp camera. Inside this box is everything that you need to mount, power, and communicate wirelessly over the internet to Genetec's cloud-based security center service. So what does that mean? That means you can go out and install this kit, which, by the way, comes with all the mounting hardware, the straps. The only thing you need to supply is power. You can go out and install this in minutes and have a completely set up license plate recognition system, all handled by Genetec support in under an hour. You don't need to be a Genetec certified AutoVu expert to install this. You don't even need to have any expertise in really much of anything. I mean, I must say, this is probably one of the easiest products beyond Stratocast to set up. So in this episode, I'm going to take you through the entire unboxing process, the mounting process, the setting up process, calling support, getting the service turned on, and then walking you through what this system can do. So let's dive in. So let's get a couple of things out of the way first. First of the jokes. Yes, I know it looks like Johnny Five from Short Circuit. Yes, I know it looks like Wally. It's the Sharp camera. One of the really neat things about this is you can get it in one of two versions, a cellular version or a non-cellular version. So if you wanted to subscribe to this and you had some sort of internet connectivity already figured out, maybe you're putting it onto an existing mesh network or wireless network or whatever, you don't need the cellular service, great. You would get either the long range or the short range model, depending on the distance at which you want the plates to be read. And then you're off to the races. Or you can get, which is what I have here, the cellular model, which means I can drop this anywhere where there is cell coverage, and I will get my license plate recognition system up and running without providing anything to it except for power. Another note, this is not sending live video across the internet. What makes the Sharp camera really special, beyond a great many features and functions, maybe we'll do an entire episode dedicated to Sharp, but one of the things that makes this special is that it's got two imagers, a color context imager and the license plate recognition imager. The picture size for both is extremely small, and all of the analytics are done on board the camera itself, which is why it's much bigger than that of a normal license plate recognition camera. It's doing all the processing here. Therefore, we don't need to send megabits upon megabits upon megabits of data across the internet. It's kilobits of data only transmitted when requested. One of the other really cool things with all subscription services, right? So I'm one of these people that cut the cord a long time ago, so I haven't had a cable bill in a long time. And as shows are released on different streaming services, I'll subscribe, I'll take advantage of all that content, and then I will cancel my subscription and move on to something else. The same is true here. Now, am I recommending you turn this on and turn it off all the time? No. But if you have a situation in which, you know what, I really need to catch the people that are doing this bad thing. Maybe you've got a bunch of illegal dumping going on. Subscribe to the service for a year, and then when you're done with it, you send it back. Another great benefit to the subscription is because you're purchasing the cellular version as part of the subscription, Genetec has taken care of all the internet service provider stuff. So you don't have to go to some service provider, get a Cradlepoint router, figure out what your data plan is going to be and all that. There are no monthly fees. So as you can see, I've got it already built and configured. I'm going to jump back into the Wayback Machine and set this thing up from scratch just to show you how easy it is, what comes in the box, how long it takes to set up. Then we'll go through the checklist, eventually get the camera outside, call Genetec support, have them turn the system on for us. We'll do a couple of tweaks here and there, and then we'll start reading some plates, getting some hits, and then I'll take you through not just the security desk application, but the web client as well. So now, to the path. This is how the box comes, and thank you for your order. You also see that there are hardware installation instructions, and I am actually going to go through these instructions from front to back and follow along. Some of this you'll see, some of this you won't see, but you'll definitely see when I get to step 7B, call Genetec deployment, because this is probably the most interesting part of this whole process, in that you don't have to turn the camera on, get an IP address, configure it, upgrade the firmware, change the context, license plate state, get it connected to security center. Like, you don't have to do any of that. Literally, you call this number, they remote into the unit, and they set everything up for you. All you have to do, to steal a line from Ron Popeil, is set it and forget it. Probably my favorite tool ever is the AutoVu screwdriver. This thing is sweet, and I am happy to add it to my collection. You've also got the mounting plate. Now, this is meant to mount to a wall. It could be mounted to a pole. It comes with all the strapping hardware as well, so you literally don't have to buy anything other than this kit, because it comes with like everything you need. Cardboard out of the way. Open this up. Wow, that's pretty much all assembled. So this is the heart of the unit. This is sort of what makes it tick. Let's open this can up, and as you can see, you've got everything you need. So here's our LTE radio. Here's a network switch. Here's your power supply, and that's pretty much it. I mean, other than mounting this thing and opening it up for the first time, making sure you get lights and everything, you really shouldn't ever need to open up this can ever again. Looks like we are giving you some extra ports here. I don't know if maybe that's for future expansion or what, but again, really there's nothing for you to do in this box other than make sure that the lights are on, close it, and move on. One thing I also noticed here is they give you the Ethernet connector already pre-assembled in a NEMA enclosure. So this wire here is this wire here. So even the terminations are done for you, which is fantastic. So again, all you've got to do is mount this to your wall or to your pole, put the Sharp camera on here, connect it, and then we should be good to go. Here's a closer look at the Sharp for those of you who have never seen one of these before. Sharp is Genetec's is the only camera that Genetec actually manufactures. There are 2 sensors in every SharpV. This particular model is outfitted with 2 sensors. Your color overview sensor to give you vehicle details, right? So you want to get a description on the car, red, sedan, something like that. That color overview camera can also be used as another camera in Security Center. There's an extra license for that, but you can use this as another camera. And then you've got your infrared sensor array. These are tuned specific to the state and region that you're in. So for example, in the state of New Jersey, we use 850 nanometers. In other parts of the world, you might use 740 nanometers all the way up to, I believe, 950 nanometers, depending on the reflectivity of the plate in your state, or the most common plates in your state. So there's all different plates, and all different states use all sorts of different reflectivity. So depending on the state that you're putting this in, we will send you the appropriately tuned LEDs to get you the best possible result. And then you've got, of course, your black and white sensor, which is used for the actual license plate capture. And back here, you've got your NEMA connector for Ethernet. You've also got quite a bit of context information here. Shows you the part number, the serial number, PC name. So like when you're calling Genetec support, this is all the information that you would use. Also important to note here, you see that number right there, 850. Make sure you can see that. 850 stands for the nanometer version. So 850 nanometers. That's how we know that this that's how we know the LED range of this particular unit. So that's the overview. I mean, really couldn't be any easier than taking it out of the box, mounting it, and then calling support. So I'm going to make a trip to the hardware store, figure out exactly how I'm going to mount this, because this is ultimately going to be my demo unit. So I want to make sure that it is portable, not too heavy. And once I get back from the hardware store, I'll get all this stuff mounted, and we'll start running through the installation guide and call Genetec support. Okay, so now we're going to mount the upper assembly to the post. I've already snaked my strap through the top of the assembly here as per the directions. And now I'm going to slide it on to the post. Pro tip, don't start from the whole thing being unraveled. Get it roughly to where it ought to be, and then slide it on. That's roughly the height that I'd like it to be, so I'm going to leave it right there and then start tightening it down. All right, on to step number 4. Hang the main assembly from the upper bracket. Now, the way that you're going to do that is with these 2 bolts, which is why the instructions tell you not to tighten these down. Basically, this assembly is going to just go right over these bolts, and you'll tighten these bolts down, the assembly will be on. So let's go ahead and do that. Boom, done. And now we can tighten these brackets down. Step number 5, secure the main assembly to the pole. So at this point, you're going to take your second strap and strap it through the holes provided on the bottom of this post. And then finally, you're going to supply power to the unit. Now, for my purposes, for demo purposes, I'm going with just like, a normal plug. For you in the field, you'll probably run this to an electrical, like an actual electrical line, an actual electrical circuit. The process is exactly the same, except instead of me plugging mine into the wall, you're going to have power fed to you from an electrical service, more than likely. That being said, we're still going to do the same process. I'm going to wire up these conductors to the conductors of the power supply in the box, and then we're going to apply power to it. So what did that take us? 5-6 minutes total in real time? Thanks to the beauty of video editing, it maybe took you 30 seconds to watch me put this whole thing together. I mean, this literally could not go together any easier. The hardest part, honestly, was putting the straps onto the pole and getting them all tightened up. And it wasn't difficult, it's just grunt work, right? So what I'd like to do now is go to the next step, which is to get this outside plugged in and then call support. From there, they should be able to see that the unit is online and walk me through the balance of the setup process. I am anticipating that from taking this unit out of the box, getting it mounted, and then having it activated should take no more at this point than 15 or 20 minutes. I mean, I am thoroughly impressed so far. So again, let's get this outside and call Genetec support and get it activated. While I wait for support to pick us up, I figure I'd take this call in my car because it's sort of a quiet environment. The Sharp is just over my shoulder here, and that'll allow me to not have a ton of road noise while I'm trying to explain things. I may have to jump out and make some manual adjustments to the camera. If I do, I'll bring you with me and go through that process. But also, since I'm in the car, I'm also on speakerphone, so you can hear both ends of the conversation. Hey, Chris, it's Phil with Genetec also. How are you?
Oh, hey, Phil. Good.
I am calling to activate my Sharp as a service camera.
You're trying to activate it?
Yeah, I am on step 7B. Call Genetec deployment at this number.
Which camera do you have? Do you have the serial number of the camera you have? I was going to say just the last 4 digits is fine.
Oh, last 4, thank you, because this thing is really long.
Yeah.
092L as in Larry.
Perfect. Okay, I found the right one.
Okay, good.
Okay, I'm going to make a couple of notes here. So do you have it powered up and mounted where it needs to be mounted?
Yep, more or less.
Okay. Give me just a second to grab these credentials, and then I'll log in, and we'll see if we can zoom and focus it.
Fantastic. All right, so I've got the camera set up. It's outside. It's plugged in. I have all the lights. Everything looks good. I've got it set up so that it is going to be monitoring cars traveling that way. I should be getting that way. I should be getting the rear license plates of the cars that are traveling in that direction. Let's give it a try. So you're saying you need a target to focus on. My camera's pointed that way, so I'm going to pull you to the left. There's a car that's not too far away that you might be able to use.
Okay.
Let me know if you could see it. It's a Ford Explorer.
And then can you tell me how far away is that Explorer?
Good question. I'm going to say 60 feet-ish, maybe a little bit more, 70 feet.
Okay.
If you need me to, I can put another car closer.
Based on where we want to capture the plate, if you could get a car closer, maybe 1.5 car lengths closer.
Okay. Stand by. Is that any better? How's that?
Yeah, that's good right there.
Okay.
All right, that reads me to 34 characters. And the focus is good on that. All right, you can rotate the camera just a little bit to the right and down a touch.
Down a touch, all right.
All right, cool. Let's go right just a little bit more.
How's that?
Yeah, that's good right there.
Okay.
Go ahead and lock it down, and then you can move your car
Say it again.
out of the way. Go ahead and lock it down.
Okay.
And we can move your car
Move it where?
out of the way.
I'll move it out of the way.
Out of the way. And,
Okay.
We'll see what kind of hits we get, but it looks pretty good.
Okay, cool. All right, hold on. Okay. Car is moved.
All right, let's
See what we
we'll
get. All right, so all said and done, exactly what I said before, maybe about 10-15 minutes. That's how long it took to get the zoom and focus just right here. Word of caution, and it's something that I think we're going to work in the documentation, but be sure to have something that you can use as a reference point. So I actually have my wife's car here that was that I used as a reference point. So I pulled it back to within 30 or 40 feet of the Sharp, and the technician Chris was able to get me to focus in on it just right. So really important to have that or a license plate that you could stick on a cone or something like that. Fortunately, the way that the camera is positioned, I'm actually catching both lanes of traffic, so both oncoming and outgoing. So I'm catching rear plates and front facing plates as well. I've also got the analytics enabled, so I should be getting vehicle make, color. The only one that we don't get as part of this process is the speed estimation. And the reason for that is it takes a tremendous amount of setup time to configure. Chris was telling me that it may be able to be done on a case-by-case basis, but basically it takes you 20 or 30 laps in a car going at a bunch of different speeds in order to make that speed estimation. So it can be challenging, which is why we don't offer it out of the box. So I'm going to let this burn in now. I will actually move out of the way so I'm not blocking plates as cars are going by. And then we will log into Security Desk. I'll take you on a tour of the cloud-hosted version of Security Center that is hosting this data. And I'll also take you through a tour of AutoVu as well. We'll look at our reads, we'll look at our hits, and we'll take it from there. So let's head back down to the Genetec bunker and take this thing out for a test drive. Okay, so we're back, and we are going to log into Security Desk here in a second. But a couple of quick notes. So once you're done setting up the camera, you're going to receive a welcome letter very similar to what you see on the screen right now. And it gives you like the links to download, the Security Desk application, the administrator guide, the operator guide. It gives you the link to the web client version of this service, as well as the system ID for you to log in with Security Desk. Now, critically, it also gives you 3 separate logins. It gives you the administrator login, an operator login, and a federated login. Now, the federated login is extremely critical and important for users of Genetec that already own on-premises systems. So, for example, if you're a police department and you already have cameras everywhere, and you're adding these cameras, even though they're reporting up into the cloud, we can federate these feeds back into your system. I'm going to show you how we do that here in a second. In addition to the welcome letter, you're also going to receive credentials to get into our learning management system, as mentioned earlier. So this is what it looks like today. It may change by the time you're logging into it. But here again, we give you some documentation downloads, we give you the number for tech support, register for training, but really most critical are these training tutorial videos. And if we click on here, you'll see that it's going to load up some different options, whether you're an administrator or an operator. I'll choose operator here. You see, you've got a number of videos that are available on YouTube, but sort of all containerized in this one location to walk you through how to install the administrator and operator software, how to log in as an operator, investigating license plate recognition hits. So, and that's on Security Desk, and here we show you how to do that in the web client as well. So again, the whole intent here is to make this as easy as possible without having to be an expert in license plate recognition, from mounting the camera, which only takes a few minutes, to setting up the camera, which is automatically done for you, to now this learning management system that gives you access to all of this information so that you can learn at your own pace. We've taken all of the guesswork out of what would normally be a very complex product to set up and install. All right, so enough jibber jabbering. Let's jump in. So what I've done is I have literally just clicked the link from the welcome letter to the web client, and here I am brought to 2 tasks. Now, I did log in with the administrator account. You could do this with the operator account as well. Your monitoring task, which you would use to monitor the real-time hits as they're coming in if you wanted to do that. But where I think we should spend some time is in the plate report. And something that's really important to note here: I'm not in the Security Desk application. For all intents and purposes, I could be on a Mac, or I could be somebody that just doesn't use Security Center or Security Desk. Like, I bought the camera, I set the camera up, I'm using the web client. I don't need Security Center to use this at all. So I'm just going to click on Plate Report, and it defaults to hits. I'm going to just go to reads because we're going to get a lot more data from reads. And you can see, what type of plate do you want? Any plate, or do you have a specific plate that you're looking for? Are you looking for reads or for hits? Again, reads are the things that the camera's reading, right? So as plates go by the camera, it's reading the plates and it's aggregating this data. That's what you're seeing here. Hits are looking for specific license plates that you've put in a hot list. I'm going to show you what that looks like when we do jump over to Security Desk. Over what time range? So for me, I just set up the camera a day ago, so really it's just one day. Which LPR unit? So if I had multiple LPR units, I can select them here. And then if we want to apply any specific filters, we'll get into that in a different episode. So here you go. Here's like literally all the data that this camera has collected over the course of a couple of days. We could see here. So yes, it is late at night. If my bosses are watching, yes, I do work late at night. This was the last plate that was read, 939, S11 SJU, and if we click on this one, or double click, I should say, we get the context image as well as the actual plate read. So again, remember the Sharp has just the LPR reader as well as the color overview camera. So this is what the overview camera sees. This is what is read by the LPR camera, and this is what is discerned from it. So we can see S11 HJU. It read it correctly from the great state of New Jersey, and there you go. Now from here, if this was a bad person on the naughty list, we can just add them to a hot list right now, and you can see I have a hot list already set up. Next, maybe we want to drop it into a specific category. Maybe we want to say this is a suspected stolen vehicle. And then if we knew the make and model, let's say that's a VW, I don't know, VW Bug. Hit add. The next time that plate drives by my reader, it will generate a hit. And if I go down a little bit, I'll go to when the sun was actually up. So here's a plate, E89HRU, E89HRU. That's perfect. And if we show more analytics here, we could see what the character height is. So this plate was closer to the camera than it was before. What its confidence score is, that's basically telling you AutoVu thinks, or the Sharp thinks within an 87% certainty that it read it correctly, which of course it did. But if we scroll down further, you can see that the camera is also making guesses as to the color of the vehicle as well as the vehicle type, and it could on occasion make a guess as to the vehicle make. The vehicle make and type, I can tell you, are getting much better with our machine learning algorithms. It's going through and going through a lot of context images and learning like exponentially like the difference between a Chevy and a Ford and so on and so on. So expect that feature to get actually quite a bit better as we move forward. But as you can see here, dark gray pickup truck. That's a dark gray pickup truck. So, and by the way, that all becomes searchable data in Security Desk as well. Now, just a quick note here, that these analytics are coming off of the color overview camera. Color overview camera. The camera is a color camera. At night, it's going to drop into a black and white mode. You're not going to get color. Okay? So if there's any other system out there that says, yeah, we could tell you the color of the vehicle in the middle of the night with no light, not true. So finally, I'll change this to hits. So at the time, before I had put that other plate into my hot list, I only had one plate, and that was my wife's car. So I blurred out the license plate number here, but this is a hit that was generated. And if we double click on it, you can see I actually took my wife's car out for a spin, and we got, obviously, we read the plate correctly because it did give me a hit. And we could see here, it's given me some more information. So the VW Atlas stolen is the category. There's our plate number, plate state, the hot list, and then patroller. That's more for AutoVu mobile. Maybe we'll get into that in a future episode. But again, you hear that sound? I actually just got a read in Security Desk. We'll jump there in a sec. But again, I'm not in Security Desk. I'm in the mobile application, or excuse me, the web application. Folks, are you getting the gist? This couldn't be any easier. Let's jump over to Security Desk. So here we are in the Security Desk application. Now this screen should look generally familiar to most of the folks that watch my channel because this is my standard demo kit. You can see my area view here is my same Dunder Mifflin area. But what I've done is I've added a new federation to my federation sub area called Sharp as a Service. And here is my Sharp camera that I have set up outside. If I wanted to monitor this particular entity, I could monitor it just like I was monitoring an access control door. Right click, monitor entity, and then tell it what tile to populate in. So I'll just leave it as all for now, meaning every time I get a hit number one, or excuse me, a read, every time I get a read, it'll show up in this tile, and then the next read will show up in this tile, and so on and so on and so on. If you wanted to them just cycle through all on one tile, you just tell it which tile to do that on. That could be really helpful because let's say you've also got some access control that you want to monitor. So we could right click, monitor the front door, let's say, on tile number 2. So now all of my reads are going to come in here, and grab a card. All of my access control will show up in tile number 2. But we're not talking about access control today, so I'm going to get rid of that guy. Now what you'll also see here is I have a couple of extra tabs. I have a reads tab, so this is a read report, and a hits tab for my hits report. Where do I find that? Right here. Here we go, hits and reads. You open those up. Matter of fact, let me do these from fresh for you. I want to see all my reads. Click on the reads report. Select your area. So I'm going to just select the Sharp as a service. And again, if I had multiple Sharps in this instance, they'd all show up here, and then I can select the individual ones. Over the last 1 day period, generate the report. And here they all are. And what you'll see is it shows us the image of the plate as well as the context image, the LPR unit that it came from, the event timestamp, so what time that was generated. Let me flip this over so we can see the most recent ones first. I can also add more columns. So I want to say, show me vehicle make, show me relative motion, if it generated a hit, and plate state. And I can also change where these fall in the columns there. So generated a hit will be last. Maybe I want to make this here. And I want to get rid of patroller because I don't have any mobile. I'm going to get rid of address because I don't have addresses for any of these folks. LPR unit's fine. User is fine. Everything else is good. Click OK. And there we go. So what's really neat here is you could see if it did make a guess on the vehicle make, that would show up here. The relative motion, so is it moving toward the camera or moving away from the camera, and the state of the plate. So we could see most of these are from New Jersey because I live in New Jersey, so that would make sense. And then if I wanted to get more information, I could just double click. It brings it into a tile. There's the plate that's red. Here's all my information. And if I click the eye here, it'll give me all of the analytical information as well. So very similar to the web application, except this one is a little bit more powerful because now I can start doing interesting things like running reports, or excuse me, visual reports. So I can come up here, click the charts button, and now I can start charting this out. So maybe I want to know, based on a pie chart, the top 3 plates that were red. So here you go. Here's sort of an anomaly just right here. Without really configuring much, I could see I got 4 E89 HRUs. Maybe that's interesting to you. Maybe it's not. It's interesting to me because I'd like to know why this one particular car is driving up and down my street a lot during a 1 day period. They obviously live here. I actually recognize that pickup truck. It's one of my neighbors. But here's A63 MJU. They went up and down twice, and then you've got 235 others, and that's not a lot of great information. But what's really cool there is we can get rid of the others. And now, unlike in the web client where you don't have this sort of granular detail, here we could really start drilling into what's happening here. If I had a LPR reader at the front of my facility and the rear of my facility, I could start getting insights as to how many vehicles are in, how long they stay there, what my peak times are, how busy my streets are. And to that end, here's a quick line graph of how busy my street is, what my street peak time is. So I basically split this up by LPR unit, so I can see this is the number of reads that the unit is doing on this axis, and then this axis is time. So I could see like my peak time during this day was 4 p.m. I had 43 reads versus 10 o'clock at night. I've only gotten 2 so far. And obviously, the more data you collect, the more relevant this is going to become. Got another read. And not only is this information going to become more relevant, but the more cameras you drop, the more analytical you can get, the more metadata you're going to be able to mine for. And just as with the reads report, we can go to hits and literally run this exactly the same way. Generate the report. There's my one hit. That's my wife's car. Double click it, and you can see, and even if we were monitoring this in real time, the background would change to red to indicate to the live operator that I've got a hit. I'm going to come back to monitoring real quick because you did hear the sound, and I did get a read, and this is what that read would look like. And by the way, if you're wondering, like, how did I get that to happen? Using our event to action scheme in config tool, I basically came to the Sharp camera and I said, set up an event to action. When license plate red, play a sound to the administrators, and this is the sound that I want you to play. You'll also see here, I have a threat level set to go off. When license plate hit, set a threat level. So I could, if I were, let's say, a K-12 or I'm a private organization and I'm afraid of this one individual who is on a naughty list, when that license plate gets a hit, when they come onto your property, we can immediately initiate a lockdown before the person even gets out of the car. That's the real power of license plate recognition, to stop bad things from happening before people even get out of their cars. So, Sharp as a service. This thing couldn't get really any easier. I'm actually quite impressed because Genetec Security Center can be a bit complex to set up, but the ordering process, super simple, 2 part numbers. The setup process, super simple. Everything comes in the box. The data plan is set up. I don't have to call a service provider to get data out to these remote locations. Like, that whole thing is figured out. You call support. They set the camera up for you. They give you your credentials, and they give you access to a learning management system to learn everything about the setup and the operation. It could not be any easier. Do you think you would even use it? This is the question. I'm excited about it. I'm talking to all my customers about it, whether they're our existing channel partners or end user partners. I think this is something that can really be a big game changer. I'm curious to know what you think. Leave me a comment down below and let your opinion be heard. The folks up in Montreal are really excited about this product, as am I, and we'd be really interested to hear your opinion. My name's Phil Coppola. I'm the account executive in the public sector for Genetec in the great state of New Jersey. If you like this video, be sure to give me a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you on the next one.